All right, hi everybody. Welcome back to our second draft here at Attention to Detail. We did a draft a few weeks ago of our favorite symphonies, and I'm back joined by 5 of my close friends, colleagues, this time to draft chamber music. So we've got a new concept for the idea of this draft. We're going to be taking pieces with 1 to 8 number of instrumentalists, players, musicians that are involved in the performance of those pieces. So each team is going to end with a solo piece for some instrument, a duo, a trio, all the way up to an octet. So our contestants will have to dig deep to try to rack their brains, come up with some pieces that fit some weird instrumentations like a septet or a quintet or a sextet. Not so many of those out there, but I have faith that our contestants are going to do a fantastic job. They've all been prepping diligently, I believe. And let's introduce them all before we get going with this draft. Picking first is going to be one of my closest friends, violinist in the Louisville Symphony, frequent performer in the Indianapolis Symphony, Maria Sems, of recent Instagram fame, both with her and her 3 sisters, performing frequently as a quartet on Instagram. And if I'm correct, a founding member of the social distancing string quartet. So really repping the chamber music chops heavily during this time of quarantine. She is representing the San Francisco MAHLER-NINERS. So she's going to be the first pick in the draft. Then we have a return appearance from my close friend, college roommate, recently awarded a DMA from the University of Michigan, which I am repping again today, and also recently supplanted his life to sunny Florida, it seems, where he is really living the dream while the rest of us are stuck inside. Leo Singer is going to be, this time, the Knicker-Bach cello suites, the New York Knicker-Bach cello suite. Then we've got Kyle Price, founder of the Caroga Arts Music Festival and cellist in the Cavani String Quartet, so a seasoned chamber music professional, one of my closest and oldest friends way back to Bowdoin Music Festival, where we were there with Leo as well. Some shenanigans went on when we were, in high school. We won't talk about those on this podcast. He is the Rimsky-Korsakovs. Then we've got Francesca McNeely, another very close friend from, among other places, Tanglewood, which she seems to be repping today. Cellist currently working in Boston, graduate of NEC and many other prestigious institutions, but we went to NEC together, and she's now killing it on the cello in Boston. She is repping Boston with her team name of the Opus Massholes. And picking last but not least, we have Kevin Lynn, outgoing concertmaster of the London Phil, incoming concertmaster of my very favorite Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra, fantastic violinist, frequent performer with many orchestras, including the Indianapolis Symphony, played a fantastic Tchaikovsky violin concerto. Tchaikovsky violin concerto with the Indianapolis Symphony last season. He is going to be the LA SWAN-LAKERS. So those are our teams that are going to be picking today. I want to give a brief rundown of what I'm going to be looking for in the draft, what our listeners can be looking for too. This is going to be an interesting one. There's a lot of good chamber music out there. And so I think our contestants are going to have a wide range to pick from. And so what I'll be looking for in a successful team when this is all said and done is people who end up with obviously some great pieces, some variety if they can get it in there. And, we'll be looking at some of the interesting spots will be 6 through 8 because those get a little thin. And so I think people might need to be a little creative on some of those spots. We'll go over some of our rules of this draft just very quickly, aside from picking 1 through 8. The contestants, we've come up with a few specific chamber music rules. maximum 3 uses of the piano. So there's a lot of chamber music that uses the piano. Our contestants will have to come up with some other possibilities for some of their slots. So maximum 3 uses of the piano. Have to use a woodwind, brass, or percussion instrument other than the piano once. So you can't stick, although we have only string players here, they can't stick solely to string instruments and piano. Have to branch out a little bit and grab some other instrument. And like our symphonies draft, we're allowing 1 wild card substitution. That's going to be a chamber piece of greater than 8 players that they can sub in for one of their spots. So that's 9 through however many players, but it has to be a chamber piece. We're not allowing symphonies or concertos for the wild card. So I think that's it for our caveat rules. And I thought we should bring a quick special guest to get our draft kicked off and also announce the result of our audience vote from the previous draft. So I'm lucky to have the winner of the previous draft stuck in quarantine with me, my brother, Josh Joyce, who is here to give a little bit of word of advice to all of the contestants. What do you have to say to everybody?
Yeah, I would say the less you know, the better. For me as an experience, I know very little about classical music, and I came in, took the draft by storm, so go with your gut, don't think about it a lot. And then also, for those of you who are not Leo Singer, I would shoot for above 5th place, because I think 5th place is racked up at this point. So that's all I have to say.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Do you want to get this draft kicked off for us?
Yeah,
Maria is on the clock.
Yes. Okay. Maria, what's the team name?
San Francisco MAHLER-NINERS.
Okay. The 2020 Attention to Detail Chamber Music Draft is now open. The San Francisco MAHLER-NINERS are now on the clock.
All right. There you heard it.
Good luck, everybody.
The makeshift commissioner of our league here, Josh Joyce. Maria, you are on the clock with the first pick. What are you going to go with?
Okay, here we go. I'm going to start with my 8-player piece, and I'm going to take Mendelssohn Octet.
Mendelssohn Octet, first pick. I imagine that was going to go pretty quickly, targeting that difficult 8 spot, picking up an absolute gem of a piece. Have you ever played the Mendelssohn Octet?
I have, a long time ago, but
with your 3 sisters playing the 4 violin part.
Actually, no. But that would be a good quarantine project.
And who would get first violin in that scenario?
We can't talk about that.
We can't talk about that. We can't talk about that. Here, we're saying Maria's getting the first pick. All right. Leo Singer up next. Mendelssohn Octet off the board.
Love that first pick. I was considering that with my first pick. I think that was a great value spot there. I'm going to go with my 6th player, and I'm going to take VERKLARTE NACHT.
VERKLARTE NACHT by Schoenberg. Transfigured Night. Excellent piece, targeting a composer who's probably going to be a little underrepresented in this draft of Schoenberg, but grabbing that weak 6th spot as well. So I can tell our contestants are going for these high numbers because there's a lot of pieces in the low territory. So we're now on to Kyle Price, the Rimsky-Korsakovs, with the first pick in their draft.
Yeah, those are both good selections. They're right at the top of my list. I think I'm going to also go with my 6th slot, and that's going to be Tchaikovsky, Souvenir de Florence.
Tchaikovsky, Souvenir de Florence. Tchaikovsky, often considered more of a prolific symphony ballet composer, but has some excellent chamber music, including the Souvenir de Florence for sextet. Excellent pick for the Rimsky-Korsakovs. Next up, we have Francesca McNeely, the Opus Massholes. Wide open board. What are we going with there?
I must say I'm really disappointed to lose the Schoenberg, so I was hoping to make that move too. So I think I'm going to go ahead and grab another sextet, which is the Brahms G major.
Brahms G major sextet. My first ever performance at Tanglewood, which you are repping on your sweatshirt. Got reamed by my coach for not playing elegantly or loudly enough. So excellent memories of the Brahms G major sextet. An excellent piece, but tricky, but excellent piece.
float down memory lane. I'm here to help you out.
Exactly. There's going to be a lot of trips down memory lane, poor trips down memory lane, because my chamber music career personally was short-lived and unsuccessful. So in any case, Kevin Lynn is up for the first of his picks, and we're going to snake back, and he'll have another pick as well. I should mention, by the way, we tried to do this totally fairly, so I randomly generated the order of this draft. So Francesca randomly got robbed of VERKLARTE. So Kevin, first pick.
Awesome. I think I should take advantage of the rare octets, and I'm going to go with the ENESCU octet.
ENESCU octet. I know for a fact my inside sources were telling me that some other people were also interested in that piece. So excellent to grab that other fantastic octet by a fantastic violinist. And we're coming back to you for another pick here.
And the next thing I need, I think I got to go with my 7-player picks, and that's going to be the Beethoven septet.
Beethoven septet. One of the most popular pieces during Beethoven's life when he wrote it. Fell a little bit out of favor after he died, but is having something of a comeback, I would say, in the 21st century here. Grabbing Beethoven in one of the few septets that exist. There might be 5 total septets from like A through D list composers total, so I guess maybe we could fill out the spot, but I imagine some people will have to use their wild card on the 7. But Kevin grabs the septet. Back to Francesca, who has the Brahms Sextet number 2. What's your second pick going to be?
Yeah, and I got to go with one of my all-time favorite pieces of chamber music, period, which is, and I'm a little biased, but it's also amazing, Schubert Cello Quintet, please.
Schubert Cello Quintet. I honestly thought that might be the first pick in the draft. Uses all strings, so you're not using the piano. An excellent, excellent piece. Can get a little long in some performances, so you got to take a little bit of a quicker tempo, but you know, excellent piece, grabbing a super gem there, and haven't used the piano yet. So back to Kyle, Souvenir de Florence so far. What are you going with for the second pick?
And octets are flying off the board, so I think I got to grab one. I'm going to go with Shostakovich octet.
Shostakovich octet, another excellent piece. Short piece, only 2
Very
movements, but also a huge cello solo. Figured there would be a lot of competition for the cello solos. We have 3 cellists on this draft.
Yeah. Soul C all the way.
Excellent. So we are back now to Leo Singer. He got VERKLARTE Nacht with his first pick. What are you going with on this second pick?
I'm going to stick with the theme of massive cello solos and go with the Brahms B major trio.
Excellent, excellent. Brahms B major trio, trio number 1. Personally, I don't even know if it's that much of a hot take. Maybe, in my mind, maybe the best piano trio ever composed. Monster cello solo to open. So we are back to Maria, San Francisco MAHLER-NINERS. Grab the Mendelssohn octet with the first pick. And now 2 picks for the San Francisco MAHLER-NINERS. What are you going with first?
Okay, great. So some of my favorite sextets were already taken, but I'm going to go with the DVORAK string sextet.
DVORAK string sextet. I like that pick. That is a piece that I know very little about, other than having listened to some of it once in preparation for this draft, but I enjoyed it thoroughly. So you're grabbing an excellent master there of Dvorak, keeping some of those really prolific German composers on the board for later, which I also like. And so now we've got one more pick for Maria, San Francisco MAHLER-NINERS. What are you going with to start the third round?
I'm debating between a couple things. The 7th spot is also a tricky one, but I'm going to choose another all-string piece, Strauss Metamorphosen.
Ooh, so are you subbing Metamorphosen in?
Oh, I was thinking of the
Is there a, how many players does Metamorphosen have?
7.
7?
It is 7.
That is an incredible find. I thought I've only heard Metamorphosen in string orchestra form, but
I've only played the septet version, so if that counts, if that's cool, if that
absolutely counts, and an excellent find because that wasn't even on my radar. I knew I was going to be stumped at some point in this draft, but to get such a gem of a piece, super late Strauss in the 7 spot, excellent pick. Thinking not even outside of the box, just that was a blind spot of mine. Stellar pick by MAHLER-NINERS. All right, we are back to the New York Knicker-Bach cello suites. Have Brahms B major trio and VERKLARTE NACHT. We've got a little bit of an Austro-German theme going here. What's next?
So I'm nervous about the 7s and the 8s at this point. So, I don't love the 8s that are available.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to pick a 7. It's a little bit of a deep dive, but I'm going to get my winds brass out of the way and draft Histoire du Soldat Stravinsky, my septet.
Histoire du Soldat by Stravinsky. A piece that I'm pretty sure I know for a fact Leo Singer had to conduct in intro conducting. Am I correct on that? I feel like you had to conduct that piece at one point.
It is unfortunately correct.
Yeah, prolific conductor of the Royal March from Histoire du Soldat by Stravinsky, but an excellent piece, nice little neoclassical piece. We should mention one extra rule that we're including in this draft, which is that there are some chamber pieces that are arranged for multiple configurations. So Histoire has a trio version as well. That is off the table, so we can only take a piece one time. It can be in any configuration, but once it's taken, that piece is off the board. So Histoire is off the board, and we are back to the Kyle Price Rimsky-Korsakovs Tchaikovsky Souvenir de Florence, Shostakovich Octet. No piano used yet. Russian theme going for this team. What do we got next?
So next I'm going to go to the quintet region, and I'm going to reach for a wind player. I'm going to go with Mozart Clarinet Quintet.
Mozart Clarinet Quintet. Stellar piece. Using Mozart in a good spot there. Also checking the winds off. Saving the piano spots for later. Excellent pick in my opinion. Gem of a piece.
Thank you.
I think clarinet is a good direction to go if you want to use your woodwind instrument. There are a lot of good woodwind instruments, but there's some incredible chamber music for the clarinet, so we'll see if there are any more appearances of clarinet in this draft. Francesca, Opus Massholes. We've got the Schubert Quintet and the Brahms Sextet number 2. Some excellent chamber pieces there. What are you going with now?
So I'm going to do something that I didn't think I was going to do, because I'm going to give up on one of my favorite pieces in order to do this next pick.
Exciting.
Later. But I'm going to grab my septet spot and do the Ravel Introduction in Allegro.
Ravel Introduction in Allegro. That is a septet indeed. Really good piece. Another one that I admittedly listened to mostly in preparation for this draft when I was looking up septets. But I very much enjoyed it. Don't tell us what your favorite piece is, because I am curious if it'll come back and you'll grab it at some point. If we get to the end and you haven't taken it, or maybe one of your favorite pieces is by Ravel and you took a Ravel there, don't tell us. If it doesn't get covered until the end, we'll come back, and I'm very curious what one of your favorite pieces is. We are back to Kevin. He's got his 2 top spots filled, Beethoven Septet and ENESCU Octet. 2 more picks for the LA SWAN-LAKERS.
I'm going to go with one of my favorite pieces in the sextet spot. So that's going to be the Chausson Concerto for Violin, Piano, and String Quartet.
Ooh, nice. Very good. So Chausson, Violin, Piano, and String Quartet. So we have filled now the top 3 spots. And Kevin has one more pick for the LA SWAN-LAKERS. Is this going to be a quintet? We're just going in reverse order here.
I'm going to give a little bit of love to the brass community, and I'm going to go with Brahms Horn Trio.
Ooh, Brahms Horn Trio. Another phenomenal piece. Checking off that woodwind / brass category, written originally for the natural horn. Lots of Brahms trios for our contestants to choose from. There's a clarinet, there's a horn. That's another one of the pieces that I performed not so well in my non-prolific chamber music career. Rough memories of that one too. A little tricky last movement there. Won't talk about that performance. Coming back to Francesca for the fourth pick. So far, 5, 6, and 7 spots are filled. Schubert, Cello Quintet, Brahms Sextet number 2, and Ravel Introduction and Allegro.
So I'm gonna go down to my 2s and grab a sonata, which is the
First
Beethoven.
sonata off the board. Sorry, what are you going with?
Say it again.
I interrupted you, but this is the first sonata off the board, and I shouldn't have interrupted. What are we getting for a sonata off the board?
You're getting another cello-centric piece, but the Beethoven A major.
Beethoven A major. My personal favorite, Beethoven Cello Sonata. I figured there would be some cello sonatas going. Excellent, excellent choice. Love that opening to the sonata category. I think we're gonna get a lot more of those sonatas, but taking, like I said, my own personal favorite, Beethoven Cello Sonata in the A major. Great selection. Back to Kyle Price, Rimsky-Korsakovs. We've got the Shostakovich Octet, Tchaikovsky Souvenir de Florence, and the Mozart Clarinet Quintet. So win category is checked off. No piano has been used. Good spot so far.
Yeah, I'm debating about a couple of things, but I'm looking at the quartet section, and if I could take all 8 selections on quartet, I would, being a string quartet junkie. But I think I'm going to go with Beethoven's Opus 132 string quartet.
Ooh, all right. Beethoven, Opus 132, grabbing the first late Beethoven string quartet. I was curious if we would get any of those and which ones we would get, as the famous Heiliger Dankgesang movement. Very, very beautiful string quartet. Some intense outer movements as well. Love that choice. If our listeners like slightly odd but incredible music, the Beethoven late string quartets are an excellent place to look. Like that pick, we're back to Leo Singer's New York Knicker-Bach cello suites. Brahms B major, Schoenberg Verklarte, Histoire. What are you going with next?
Kyle, I love the 132 pick, and I think I'm going to follow suit and take a Beethoven quartet. I have one question for the commissioner, which is I would like to take Beethoven 130, but I would like the Grosse Fugue ending, which technically has the 133 opus separately, but I would like to take it all as 130. If it's, I mean, that's up to you. So
Yeah, totally against the composer's intentions. We're obviously not going to be able to allow that at all. So, no, I'm kidding. 130 with the original Grosse Fugue ending. I like the pick. For our listeners who don't know that piece as well, excellent fifth movement, the Cavatina movement, another super beautiful piece for string quartet. And the Grosse Fugue that Leo is talking about is this massive fugue movement to end this piece. Very intense, kind of a window into the mind of a completely deaf, kind of acerbic composer who is maybe losing his mind, maybe a genius. So an excellent, excellent choice, Beethoven 130. Little run on the Beethoven late string quartets here. Now we are back to Maria Sem's San Francisco Mahler-Niners. We've got the Dvorak string sextet, Metamorphosen, and Mendelssohn octet, so the top spots are filled. What are you going with now?
Well, Kyle took my quartet choice, so I'm going to need a little time to get over that. So I am going to go to 5 now, and I'm going to use my woodwind and do the Prokofiev Quintet.
Prokofiev Quintet. Excellent, excellent piece. I highly recommend all of our listeners go listen to the Prokofiev Quintet. Kind of early Prokofiev, a little bit very modernist in some ways, but incredibly fun to listen to. Kind of ballet music. Great, great piece, the Prokofiev Quintet, grabbing those wins. All right, and we've got another pick. So 5 through 8 are filled for the SF Mahler-Niners. We've got 1 through 4 left. Are you going to get over that quartet disappointment here or save it for later?
I think I need to save it for later. So I'm going to have to go out of order now. And I'm going to go back to strings and do the Dochnani string trio.
Ooh, Dochnani string trio. Dochnani is a composer that maybe many of our listeners do not know super well, but a phenomenal, phenomenal composer with some great chamber music. I have heard personally Kevin Lynn perform the last movement of the Dochnani string trio.
Yeah.
I don't even know if you remember that, but in Indy, it was like maybe incredibly fun last movement to the piece, but the whole piece is a great, great piece. So again, string trio, a lot of piano options for the San Francisco Mahler-Niners left. Haven't used the piano. Very good work. So we've got Leo Singer back up, the New York Knicker-Bach cello suites. Just to look at that team, we've got the Brahms first trio, Beethoven 130, Grosse Fugue original ending, VERKLARTE NACHT, and Histoire. So a little bit of straight down the middle, Austro-German romantic repertoire there, and then some nice 20th century, early 20th century works in the higher regions. So we've got Leo back up looking for a 1, 2, 5, or 8.
So I'm going to go a little out of the box here.
I'm
going to take Schubert Winterreise.
Schubert Winterreise as a duo, going with the song cycle, the first vocalist, I believe, to be used in our chamber music draft. An excellent, excellent song cycle there. Kind of depressing, but very moving nonetheless. So if you're in the mood for a little bit of a downer story, but some excellent music, look no further than Schubert's Winterreise. So I like it, sticking to the Austro-Germans there, although he has Stravinsky, but another fantastic piece. So we've got Kyle Price, Rimsky-Korsakov's back now. 1, 2, 3, and 7 left to be filled.
Yeah, I'm debating about a couple of trios, and there's just so many good ones. But I think I'm going to have to go with the Ravel trio.
Ravel piano trio. I'm wondering if that was Francesca's piece that she was talking about. Maybe not. Who knows? We'll find out later. Ravel piano trio. I like it. As Kyle mentioned, I'm curious to see. There are still, I guess, only Francesca has the 3 spot left to fill. So in fact, Francesca can wait until the last round to fill the 3 spots because no one's going to take any of those anymore. And there are a lot of good trios still out there. So that's going to be a good potential last round pick because everyone else has taken a trio and there are many, many good ones left. So we are now at Francesca, the Opus Mass holes. We've got 2, 5, 6, and 7 filled. The trio spot is a lock. So what are you going with here?
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. No
problem.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to go with my quartet pick. And I know it's a slightly unusual pick, but I'm going to go with Schumann, Opus 41, number 1.
Number 1, the best of the 3. An excellent pick. Devoted listeners of this podcast will know that I am a huge, huge Schumann fan. Leo Singer and I have performed that piece together, have it on video. Our violist, who will remain nameless, knocked over all of his music when he walked out to start the concert, and then almost kicked over his stand when he stood up to bow. So it was quite the performance, really memorable. One of my better chamber music performances, Opus 41, number 1. Large representation sonically from the cello in that performance. Dominated the sound a little bit, but it was good. So we're coming back to the Kevin Lynn's LA SWAN-LAKERS. We've got 1, 2, 4, and 5 left. Just looking here, I guess Maria has not grabbed a quartet yet, but other than that, everyone has filled the quartet. Leo has not grabbed a quintet yet, but other than that, everyone has filled the quintet. So those categories are a little safer, and we've also got 1 and 2, and Kevin's got 2 picks here. So what are you thinking for this first pick?
I'm deciding. You know what? I'm gonna go with the quintet. I'm gonna do a shout out to the woodwinds this time. I'm gonna do Mozart clarinet quintet.
Already been taken, I think. Kyle already grabbed it.
Really?
Yes, Kyle already grabbed the Mozart clarinet.
Sorry, I didn't pay attention to that.
No problem.
In that case, since Kyle stole that, I am going to take the Rachmaninoff cello sonata.
Ah, Rachmaninoff. Wow. A non-cellist on this draft of 3 cellists grabbing the Rachmaninoff cello sonata. Rachmaninoff, excellent composer, writer of fantastic melodies, and really just a super romantic, emotional cello sonata. Excellent piece. And we are back to Kevin for one more pick here. The 1, 4, and 5 spots still open.
Man, I've used up all my pianos, right? At this point?
I think
I have.
You have. So it's going to require a string quintet, a string quartet, and some sort of solo string piece. That being said, luckily, there are a lot of good pieces in all of those categories. So
exactly. I'm going to take the Ravel string quartet.
Ravel string quartet. Guy seems to be a popular composer on this draft. Excellent piece. Some cool effects for the string quartet. I was wondering if we would get any more modern string quartets. There is the first one. Great piece, the Ravel string quartet. So now we've taken actually the Ravel trio, the Ravel string quartet, Ravel introduction and allegro. Feel like we may have covered the Ravel chamber music in its entirety. Listen, he's a hot composer, I guess. So we've got Francesca back up the Opus Massholes. We've got 1, 3, and 8 left. Leo still has not taken an 8, so that category is not a lock, but the 3 is the lock. So 1 or 8, maybe. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking about going 8 and using a wild card for that pick.
Opening up the wild card category.
Yeah, for number 8. I'm sort of debating going Russian or American. I know. It's a tough pick.
American is an interesting direction. We have not had an American picked yet on any of our drafts, so I'm curious if you'll go that way.
Is that a nudge? Is that a little hint?
I would love to get an American in there. Listen, I mean, I'm not trying to sway the picks in any way, but we got to represent it a little bit. You know, we're getting rocked by the coronavirus, but we can still compose. So,
and you know what? Given the Tanglewood connection, I'm going to go with Copeland Appalachian Spring chamber.
Excellent piece, maybe the best American piece ever composed. So that's going in your 8 spot?
Yeah, it is.
And just to be clear, that's the version for 13 instruments and not the full orchestra version, because of course that would be illegal. So I like the pick of specifically the version for 13 instruments.
Yes, I had a chance to play it years ago.
Now that I'm thinking about it, that version does use piano. So I don't know if we clarified whether like the wild card counts in the piano category. Are you going to be?
Yeah, I'll be okay.
Okay.
I think I'll be okay.
I think so then that's 3 pianos. You'll be fine nonetheless. You've got a trio up your sleeve that doesn't involve piano.
Hey, I think I only have 2 pianos so far. Oh, yeah.
Intro and Allegro has a piano, right?
Okay.
No?
It's not. Hard.
Okay, so second error by me so far. Excellent. You're totally safe. Disregard everything that I've said. If there's one catchphrase from this entire draft, it's disregard everything that I've said. So, Kyle, back up. 7, 2, and 1 left.
Yeah, I'm looking at the 1 spot, and I don't know. Again, up to the commissioner. I mean, it's typically not something I hear on chamber music concerts often. More so solo concerts, but I think I'm gonna go with Bach Cello Suite Number 1.
Absolutely a legitimate piece.
All right.
The one spot is not really a chamber music piece for anyone, but I love that choice. Can I ask you why you chose the first suite particularly?
It's just a classic, you know, prelude all the way. So I always come back to it and I'm like, this is a great piece. Like, we should play this more. So
I am with you on that one. They're all great pieces. I was trying to decide what my favorite violin sonata partita and what my favorite cello suite was. Very tricky. They're all good, but I like the choice of the first suite. So Leo NY KNICKER-BACH cello suites, little review of the lineup, 1, 5, and 8 still open. Got one more piano spot allowed. So what are you going with here?
So here, I think I'm gonna shout out to one of my favorite movies, Amadeus, and go with my wild card in the 8th spot and take the Mozart Wind Serenade, the Grand Partita.
Excellent choice. Excellent choice. So Ken Woodwin's there. Uses a basset horn. I don't think we were going to get that instrument anywhere else in this draft. So I like the representation of an instrument that doesn't even make it into the symphony orchestra. Very famous scene in Amadeus where Salieri is like looking at his music and he sees that Mozart is a genius and they play Grand Partita. Excellent, excellent piece. Nice wild card grabbing some good Mozart in the 8th spot. So we are back to Maria. Double pick here, 1, 2, and 4 left. We have not used a piano yet, if I'm not mistaken.
No pianos, but I'm about to use a piano. And I think I'm the last one to pick a 4, right?
You are the last one to pick a 4, so you can actually wait on that.
I'm gonna save my 4.
Nice.
And I'm gonna go to my second pick and I'm gonna use the Debussy Violin Sonata. So there's my piano.
Excellent choice. One of the best violin sonatas, getting some French music in there. Really popular on this draft, those French composers. And we've got another pick for Maria, and I'm just looking at it here. You haven't used piano. You have your pick, because I am noticing something that very much surprises me, in fact. No piano quartets have been taken in this draft. And to me, piano quartet is one of the most solid categories. So if you're thinking that direction, you have your pick of any piano quartet, the 3 Brahms, the Schumann, but I don't want to sway any sort of picks, and that one is a lock, so maybe you want to go 1 first, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I have my 4th one chosen. I'm going to save that as a surprise for later. But for 1, I'm going to choose Bach's Violin Partita number 2 because of the chaconne.
Because of the chaconne, but
I don't know if I'm allowed to choose a movement, probably not, but...
No, I go with the whole thing because the whole thing is excellent. When I was thinking about what my favorite, that was a much easier one to sell on my favorite Bach sonata or partita versus the cello suites. I like that one. My standard Bach unaccompanied audition piece for about 12 years was Jude from partita number 2. Played that in 7 consecutive lessons. Taking advantage very, very inappropriately of my teacher's relative inability to remember what I had brought the previous week by bringing the same piece 7 times in a row. Yeah, but I like that piece nonetheless. So we've got Leo, New York, KNICKER-BACH cello suites coming back for 1 or 5. Several people have not yet filled the 5 category. I mean, the 1 category. 5, Kevin and you still have to fill. So neither is a lock, but what do we got?
So I think I want to take a piano quintet.
Yep.
But Kevin's filled all of his piano slots, correct?
That is correct. Yeah, so the piano quintets are locks.
So I have a free piano quintet choice.
Yes.
Great.
That is it.
I'm going to take my 1, and I'm going to take Bach. Well,
go off the beaten track. Why not? What are you debating here?
So my debate is to go with the Dall'Abaco 11 Caprices for solo cello, which are incredible and worth a shout out on this thing, which I don't know. They are just incredible, incredible pieces. Thinking about possibly going with a Bieber solo violin sonata.
we were talking about this before. I actually really like that pick. You could throw one of those in there.
Like it's written before the Chaconne and is just about the most incredible solo violin. There's a fugue at the end of his Rosary sonatas, which is unbelievable, which is worth checking out.
Kind of two instruments though, maybe.
Possibly right, because I was gonna use a loophole there because it's continuo and unclear if that's keyboard, if that counts as
Might be overruled by the commish.
So I'm actually, I think I'm going to go with my favorite Bach suite, the fifth Bach suite cello.
Fifth Bach suite for cello. Also an excellent one.
Tuned down version for it.
Which one?
Tuned down version.
The tuned down version. Okay, excellent. Just to clarify that's excellent. A little scordatura for the suite number 5. Good shout out there to a composer that I have literally never heard of. Can you mention that composer one more time?
Dall'Abaco or Bieber?
Dall'Abaco. Never heard of that composer in my life.
I highly recommend listening to the 11 Caprices. Also for the teachers out there, they're wonderful pieces for students to learn if they need an introduction to Baroque music.
Look at that. A little teaching, a little pedagogical advice, along with some listening advice, all here on the draft. I love it. All right, so we are back to the Rimsky-Korsakovs 2-spot and 7-spot, both of which are locks. Although if I'm not mistaken, haven't used the wild card yet.
Right, I haven't used the wild card, and I'm surprised there's one pretty obvious duo on the table still. But I'm just going to go for a more well-rounded lineup here. I'm going to go a little bit outside the box, and I'm going to kind of honor my family's all full of violists. So I'm going to go off the beaten path and go with Rebecca Clark Viola Sonata.
Whoa, that is off the beaten path. Rebecca Clark Viola Sonata. I think maybe the 3rd time that I have been stumped on this.
So good. It's so good.
I cannot say that I have ever heard that piece.
Oh.
I will listen to it now. I will absolutely listen to it now.
Listen to
To be honest, don't spend a lot of time listening to viola sonatas. That's just, hate to say it.
It's got a great story. The Block 1919 suite, it's this whole drama. So, but anyway.
I'll check it out. You notice, no coincidence that there are no violists represented. Okay. I'm kidding. All right, so we are back to Francesca, the Opus Massholes, 1 and 3 spots. The piano, you got one piano left, which I mistakenly aired on before. So the piano trios are still available, as well as the solo stuff.
I think I'm going to fill out my solo spot. And while I'm very tempted to go down the Bach route, I'm going to resist, and I'm going to go with Britten Solo Cello Suite number 3. I was like 1 or 3, but I want to just go 3.
Very good choice. I had some inside sources telling me that piece was also going to be hot. I thought that maybe was what Leo Singer was going with his off the beaten path choice. But I am very happy that Britten is getting a shout out in one of these lineups as well, a super underrated composer. That is an excellent piece. Nice choice. So we are at Kevin Lynn's LA SWAN-LAKERS to fill out the lineup, 2 picks. We've got 1 and 5, and I think you're gonna have to do this without a piano.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go. It's too easy to do Bach, even though I love Maria's choice of Bach specifically because of the Chaconne. But I think I'm going to do a little bit of a contemporary modification with that and go with the Izai Solo Sonata number 2.
Izai Solo Sonata number 2. which is the one, if I'm not mistaken, that uses the Bach suite.
Uses Partita number 3.
Partita number 3, yeah, exactly. Definitely one to go listen to, the Izai Solo Sonata number 2, although all of those pieces are very good. We didn't get anyone taking the Bartok Solo Sonata, which I thought might have gone, but I like that pick as well, Izai Solo Sonata number 2. All right, so we are in the last round, Kevin. Time to fill out the roster with a quintet. Although I'm also looking at it, you technically have the wild card, right? Still available, so you can either go quintet or wild card.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go with a composer that doesn't usually, unless I'm mistaken, doesn't usually do chamber works, but I'm going to go with Wagner. Wagner's Siegfried Idol for chamber orchestra.
Very nice. Wagner, Siegfried Idol. I think that might be the only Wagner available for any sort of chamber ensemble. A collection of themes from his opera Siegfried, written for his wife on her birthday, the wife that he stole from his very close friend in an incredibly weird, awkward personal encounter. So I highly recommend those who want a little 18th, 19th century romantic drama, look up the whole shenanigans between Wagner, Cosima Wagner, Hans von Bülow. Some great, very exciting narrative there from the 19th century composer Richard Wagner. All right, we are back to Francesca for the last piece. She's had the trio spot locked for a long time and saved a piano for this trio spot. So you have your pick of piano trios. If you want to go that direction, what's the choice going to be?
Well, I'll let you into my thinking here, because I was actually pretty much holding out to do Mendelssohn Piano Trio number 2, but I'm having a slight, I mean, it's an amazing piece, but I'm having a bit of like a pivot, because I feel like, you know me, I like my modern music, and I feel like there hasn't been enough in my, just shout outs. So I'm also debating Schoenberg String Trio.
Ooh, Schoenberg String Trio is a masterpiece. That would be a pick. The Mendelssohn second, I also is one of my favorites. I prefer to the first, so I would love that pick as well. It's your call. Whether you want to kind of sell out a little bit to the crowd-pleasing type of piece, because I have a feeling I know which one of those will play better to a large audience, or if you want to keep your musical integrity and go with a masterpiece in the string trio. So that is up to you.
I love that you framed it that way. That's really helpful. Everybody loves a sellout. So now that I'm in this place, and because, I'll accept the loss if this costs me the vote, but I think I'll go with the Schoenberg String Trio.
Look at that. You go down with your integrity. At least
I will.
Going down with integrity. In fact, I encourage all of our listeners to listen to the Schoenberg String Trio and potentially vote for it, because it's an excellent piece. All right, we've got Kyle Price back up. 7 spot left to be filled. I'm imagining, so Kyle has saved his wild card. 7 is getting a little thin. I'm not sure there is even another SEPTET out there, but by all means.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about, there's one other SEPTET that I was kind of thinking about, but I think I'm gonna go with the wild card, and I'm gonna go with I'm gonna represent Cello World here and go with Villalobos, Bachianas Brasileiras number 5, with voice and cellos. Yeah,
nice.
It's a great one.
Very good.
My hero.
Did not expect Villalobos to get in there, but the Bachianas Brasileiras pieces are fantastic. We've got a lot of representation here from different composers. I'm liking it a lot. So we've got Leo Singer, has had the piano quintets locked for a while. Going to be interesting to see where he goes here, because we've got Brahms off the table. We've got, I'm just looking at it now, some really stud piano quintets still left there. We've got the Dvorak, we've got the Schumann. What are you going to go with?
First of all, I want to note, Francesca, you've got just about the hardest selection of pieces to play I think I've ever seen in my life. Appalachian Spring, Britain 3, the Schoenberg String Trio is ridiculous. I mean, that is just unbelievable.
I mean, a testament to some strong cello players on this podcast, I guess.
Yeah, I'm a glutton for punishment. What can I say?
I forgot to announce, which I should announce right now. Our contestants all know this already, but they will all be performing the complete list of their works immediately following this podcast. They all have their instruments ready, and so it's going to be a 6-hour-long feature right after to hear them all play every part of the pieces that they've chosen.
An acapella, right?
Yeah, no, that's of course a joke. All right, so piano quintets.
So here's my thinking here is there's the Dvorak Piano Quintet, which is just an unbelievable piece and a crowd pleaser and one of the more well-known things. It also allows a little bit of national diversity on my list. So that fits a lot of needs. There are also some deeper cuts. Like I wanted to get a Louise Ferenc piece on the symphonies. There's an amazing Louise Ferenc piano quintet with the same instrumentation as the Trout, which is not programmed nearly enough. She was an amazingly influential composer, teacher, administrator, and everything. So thinking about that. Or I'm thinking about some more instrumental diversity and going with Schumann, Andante, and Variation for 2 pianos, 2 cellos, and French horn.
I honestly have to tell you, we were discussing some draft. I completely forgot that piece was on the table. This is my personal favorite piece of chamber music ever written. I've mentioned it on this podcast, so don't want to sway you anyway. Let's hear what your choice is, but that would be an excellent cut.
Also, there's technically 2 pianos, so I don't know if that goes over my piano.
No. I think 1 per work. 3 piano works.
Really tough. I'm going to do the Schumann, Andante, and Variations. I would love to play it with either of the cellists on this panel anytime.
I would love to hear you play this little run at the end of the middle section that goes way, way up the A string, incredibly hard to play in tune. If you want to do a little demo at the end of this, that would be fantastic.
We unfortunately have that also video recorded, and I would.
We have that on video. We've got that on video. Leo Singer performing the Schumann, Andante, and Variations. But yeah, a fantastic piece that I encourage all of our listeners to go check out.
Is it a nose-go situation? Like whoever... I
Yeah.
don't want to play that right.
Well, yeah,
There we go.
exactly. All right, so last pick. We've got Maria to fill out her team with a quartet spot. Actually, have not used the wild card yet, but maybe don't need to. You've got the piano quartets available, string quartets available, in a great spot for this last pick. So what are you going to go with?
So my 2 string quartets that I had thought I could or would use, Beethoven 132 was taken, and then Ravel was taken, and then I just waited too long, and I don't have any Brahms. So
There are 3 very good Brahms piano
I
quartets.
think I will use Brahms, but I was also debating going a little odd and using the Britten oboe fantasy, but I think it would round out my selection more if I chose Brahms. So
Listen, either way, Brahms is my favorite composer, and the piano quartets are some of my favorite pieces, but the Britten would also be great. Either way.
I'm going to go with the Brahms, the first piano quartet, the one in G minor.
Brahms' first piano quartet, not the Schoenberg orchestration of that piece, because that, of course, would not be allowed, but it is a very fun piece to listen to as well. But yeah, the Brahms' first piano quartet, little spooky, excellent piece, fast, rondo, last movement. I love that to fill out that team right there. So I'm just looking over each of the teams now. We've got a complete set of teams here that look fantastic. Let's just go through, and I want each of our teams to briefly kind of take us through their team, what they like about their team, what they feel like they missed out on, kind of little bit of an opportunity to sell your team to the listeners, why you think these pieces are worth listening to, and what went into your construction of your roster. So we might go in draft order. Maria, you want to start us off and talk us through your team a little bit?
Yeah, so I think Mendelssohn Octet is my favorite piece on the roster. That's why I snagged that one so early.
Very strong piece.
I'm a little string heavy, I will say. I thought I would use more pieces with woodwinds, but I think the variety of composers, I think it's good. I like the Brahms Piano Quartet. Maybe is overplayed a little bit, but it's a really good piece.
Yeah.
So
you've got a lot of variety in there, lots of national variety. You've got some Eastern European, you've got some French, some German, some Russian, some Baroque, some Romantic, some modern, very good variety selection. No worries on being string heavy. It's the best family of instruments that we have. So you nailed it, as we can all attest to. All right, we've got the Leo NY KNICKER-BACH cello suites. You did take, I'm seeing, some Bach suite to honor your name.
I it pushed me over the edge with the Bach. I could have gone the Dalla-Bacco route, but kind of had to do the Bach suite. I could have done the, well, neither here nor there. In any case, I'm looking through, and I think what my team glaringly lacks is the national diversity. But I think I make up for that with a lot of variety of instrumentation, like very few standard notation pieces. And then even my quartet, the Grosse Fugue, is outrageous. So I think each of these pieces is out of the box in its own way. Even the Bach suite has a tuning change. So there really is diversity through it, even though it's pretty Austro-Germanic tradition. And Luis Ferenc in the end, but Schumann Andante it's too good.
The Ferenc piece I listened to, and it is very, very good. So we'll just tell people to go listen to it anyways.
I'm really happy with my team. I got basically all of my favorite composers: Beethoven, Brahms, Bach, Schubert, Schumann, Mozart, Stravinsky, Schoenberg. Like, I really feel good about getting my greatest hits.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, I mean, you and I both, very Austro-Germanic heavy taste, but I think that's no problem. I think what's interesting about your team, as I'm looking through it now, as you mentioned, you took all these standard composers, some of their very unstandard works. So that's a good theme throughout the team. So we've got Kyle, Rimsky-Korsakov's. Let's look at yours a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling pretty good about how it all ended up. There's definitely the Mendelssohn Octet first selection definitely threw me for a loop initially, but I feel like the Shostakovich Octet's it's really good as well. And then from there it gets a little crazy. But I have to say I'd listen to anyone's playlist like 100 times over who selected today. So this has been pretty fun. And I mean, when it comes to just the unconventional picks, I still feel like Villalobos and Clark, they're things that really people should check out and listen to. They're very different than the other kind of mainstream composers here, Mozart, Beethoven, Tchaikovsky, but really great pieces. And obviously Souvenirs, amazing piece. And so yeah, I like that it's well-rounded, and I think it's a pretty good lineup. Very good lineup. Tons of stylistic diversity in there. Only knock is you picked a viola sonata. So what can you say? I had to. About that, but otherwise, incredibly strong choices. All right, Francesca, the Opus Massholes, take us through your lineup.
Yeah, so I'll say I was, really gunning for that VERKLARTE NACHT. That was what I really wanted to be my first move, because I think of all the sextet picks, it's probably my favorite out there. So not to you, Leo. Good job there. So I think after that, I had to give up on a couple of things I really wanted to have. And so the Ravel, I really wanted that Ravel trio. It's one of my favorite pieces, flat out.
Is that the mystery piece you were talking about?
Yeah, that was the big one that I had to just make a strategic move away from, but one of my favorite pieces, flat out. But I mean, I think Schubert Cello Quintet was also on my must-have, so at least I got that. But I had to sort of re-strategize in some places. But I think everything I got, I mean, everything on my playlist, so to speak, is definitely a piece with either something I've played or just had a personal story with. And I mean, and I think true to me in that there's a decent amount of modern representation, which is always kind of where my heart lies a little bit. So I'm pretty happy with it. And for anybody who's nervous about the modern selections, do it. Just listen. Amazing stuff.
I think that's an excellent point. Somehow I'm looking at your lineup, and I also have, I think with your lineup more than any others, I have the most personal performance connections to yours as well. So I am very happy with your choices based on my own performance choices myself, but also I'm glad you got an American in there. You've got some modern music in there, a lot of diversity in this one as well. Another excellent lineup. And lastly, we've got Kevin, the LA SWAN-LAKERS. Let's take us through yours.
I think I'm a little skewed being an orchestral player myself. I am a sucker for thick harmonies. So I'm looking through my picks, and they are I don't know, these composers are literally as thick as it gets. I mean, even the Rachmaninoff Cello Sonata, that thing is just, that's like thick with so many C's. And I mean, ENESCU Octet and all these other plays. I mean, if any of the listeners out there are into very dense harmonies, like my playlist is like, I'm a big fan of it. And I'm sure, just like the other guys on this chat, you know, we'll look through all of these pieces, and we all have like personal connections to each of the ones we picked. I'm sure like it's giving us PTSDs. Like going through the list, we've all had that.
A lot of PTSD for me.
Yeah, like ENESCU Octet was the first thing I played when I joined the LPO. We did it in Romania, actually. So that's got a big connection to me. But like I said, I think I've got a little bit of a skewed view with the harmonies, and if that's what you're into, I think you should totally take a listen to it.
But listen, a lot of variety in there. You've got the Ravel String Quartet, a very kind of light, effervescent piece. The Beethoven Septet is very classical in a way, so I think there's a lot of variety as well. But yeah, some intense romantic pieces too. So I like all of the choices from all of our competitors, and I want to thank everybody. I'm just looking through some interesting things. I'm not sure if anybody else has any ideas about some stuff that got left off, but we didn't see a lot of, there's, you know, no Beethoven violin sonatas got taken, no Mozart violin sonatas got taken, no Brahms violin sonatas got taken, no
Trunk sonata too.
Yeah, true. No Shostakovich piano trios, no Shostakovich quartets, no Bartók quartets. It's just, there's a lot of good chamber music out there.
The Dvorak Piano Quintet. I can't believe that didn't go.
Dvorak Piano Quintet, I think, would get an 100 grade from me, did not go. A lot of 100s did not go. But, you know, listen, that's part of the drafting process. People were strategizing, building their lineups, and we've got a lot of 100s taken here, too. So I think it's just a testament to how much good chamber music there is out there. We hope this gives people some listening guides. Try to listen to some of these lineups, evaluate them like you would a nice 8-course tasting menu. All of your chefs here who have created this masterful playlist for all of you. And so with a little extra time on your hands, go and listen to some of these amazing pieces. I want to thank every one of our participants again for joining us today, our listeners for sticking with us. I hope this has been fun for them, as fun for them as it has been for us. And we will see everybody soon. So thanks again, everybody.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Jacob.
Bye.